Welcome to Manga Historian's Complete Story Series, and today we're going to be covering Berserk, chapter 59 to 62. All alterations of the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. At the end of our last video, Guts and the rest of the team managed to fend off against the Bakiraka assassins during their escape from Midland Castle. With the Hawks escaping with Griffith, Charlotte pleaded with her father to give up on his pursuit. The king promised her that he would, but after Charlotte was taken away, the king sent out the orders to have the Black Dog Knights pursue the Hawks. As the king sits on his throne, he thinks about how Charlotte locked herself away in her room for over a year when they held Griffith prisoner. The jealousy of Griffith is destroying his sanity, and a virus rages through his body, slowly draining his strength. It is all because of Griffith that these things are happening to him. But soon, Waleed will return with his head. The man, Waleed, the leader of the Black Dog Knights, was once a prisoner himself. During the times of the 100-Year War, Midland sought to recruit criminals in good shape to become soldiers, and among them was Waleed. He was a strange man, seemingly inhuman, and he told the king that he should let all of the prisoners here fight it out to become a leader. Some of the prisoners shouted at him for even suggesting that, but one of them stepped up. Barbo says that the monkey here has said some interesting things, and they should let him fight this guy and make the winner a leader. The king tells him so be it. Let them determine the winner with their methods. One of the guards takes the restraints off of Barbo, and as he goes to Waleed, Waleed tells him not to worry about it. This is all for fun. Waleed then motions to the tower next to him, and he tells the king to keep an eye out. He's about to give him a new sculpture. Barbo grabs a mace and charges at Waleed, telling him that he's going to die for that. And suddenly Waleed's face changes, and before anyone knew it, Barbo's body was skewered at the top of that tower. So the king honored the agreement by making Waleed a leader. Next to the Hawks, the Black Dog Knights were the second most feared group of knights. These knights would travel into the enemy territories and steal what they wanted, rape the women, and massacre the children and elderly without pity. The king too feared this man, but now he has released the hounds, and they're starving for blood. Elsewhere, Guts and Casca receive help from one of the local farmers in transporting Griffith. Casca tells them that they're sorry for the trouble, but the farmer tells her that Griffith is still a hero to them, and it was an honor to help. Before leaving, one of the farmer's daughters hands Griffith flowers, stating that she's convinced what the castle said about the Hawks is wrong. And Casca tells everyone that it would be better not to say anything about this to anyone, because it could put them all in danger. Shortly after, the Hawks move out again, ready to leave the country. But not long before they leave, horses begin to pull up on the farm, and Waleed asks the girl who handed Griffith the flowers if anyone suspicious has stopped by. The girl begins to shake in fear, and then Waleed tries to figure out what to do when they see the Hawks. So after murdering the entire family, Waleed rapes the young girl, telling her that his motto is enjoyment and excitement. A short while later, Casca notices they have pursuers and sees them holding their spears up. As she looks closer, she sees parts of the farmer and his family waving atop of them, and Waleed running straight for the Hawks. Guts looks back, and Judo tells them that they're the Black Dog Knights. They're Midland's nastiest of troops. So much so that they've been exiled to a remote region. Casca tells Judo to keep heading towards the bridge, but Judo says that they'll have to catch up to them before they can even use their surprise. Guts pulls back, telling everyone to hurry. He'll buy them some time. And Casca calls out for him not to do anything stupid. They need to go. But Guts says that if killing those 100 men has taught him anything, he'll run if he's in danger. Casca doesn't say anything, and Griffith just looks at her. He readies himself, and as the raiders charge forward, Guts and Pippin begin tearing through them. As the two of them kill, more and more of the soldiers continue showing up. As the men fall back, Guts looks into the raiders' eyes and notices the men. They're motivated by terror. Through the crowd, a spear with a severed body is thrust through, and as the spear gets closer, Guts knocks it away with his sword, and then he sees the young girl's head fly off of it. Waleed rise up next to Guts and tells him, "I hope you had a good life, because right now you're going to amuse me." Looking down at the young girl's body and head on the ground, Guts tells him, "All right, let's play then." He brings his sword down, and then he suddenly stopped because Waleed grabbed a hold of Guts' hand mid-swing. He says that with such a big toy, what are you going to do next? Up ahead, Judo and Casca reach the bridge, and Casca quickly runs to the side of it. Suspended under the passage are barrels set with explosives. Back at the fight, Waleed starts to crush Guts' hand until Pippin swings, knocking it away. Guts begins to think, how could this man stop his sword with a single hand? The bloodthirst from him isn't normal. Guts then looks deep into Waleed's eyes, and he feels something familiar. Just like the time that he met Zod and the Skull Knight. From the distance, Casca calls for them to hurry, and Guts and Pippin take off. As the two cross the bridge, Casca begins to light a fuse, and Waleed says, "Well, this is interesting." And as the knights continue to chase, an explosion goes off, destroying the bridge. Everyone looks back through the explosion, and Casca shouts to them to keep going. Soon the smoke begins to clear, and Waleed stands shouting, "Safe." He then looks down in the ditch, stating that he's lost quite a few guys, though. Oh well. He tells the surviving men to hurry up, and he sees them not moving. One of the raiders says that it could be dangerous. There could be more traps ahead, and Waleed looks at him stating, "So?" He reaches out with two of his fingers and he pinches the man's forehead until it pops. He then tells the other men not to worry whether they live or die. Life is a waste anyway. Up ahead, Guts notices the Knights are continuing their pursuit, and he thinks, why is it that these kinds of monsters appear before Griffith and him? Then he remembers the Skull Knight telling him that the eclipse is coming, and Zod telling him that he'll experience an unavoidable death. Casca shouts that they are at the next point, and as the Black Dog Knights follow, Waleed sees rocks beginning to fall. The boulders come crashing down on the raiders, and Waleed just smiles. As a large boulder starts to fall down towards him, he stands up on his horse and he punches through the rock. Then suddenly, the oil is lit and the giant blaze covers the raiders. Waleed covers himself with the fire and he charges on. Guts tells everyone that they're gonna have to face them again, but Casca tells them no, they made it just in time. Arrows begin to fly overhead and they rain down on the Black Dog Knights. Waleed looks up and he sees the rest of the Hawks have lined up with crossbows. Corcus then raises his hand and tells the men to attack. The two armies run straight at each other, and Waleed tells Guts that this is the beginning of a real battle. And right now, he is Guts' opponent. Guts just looks at him and says he doesn't know what the hell they are, but he'll end this with his own two hands. Waleed begins to laugh, stating that Zod told him that there's something worth fighting in the Hawks. And then he raises his club and he tells Guts, "Let's play!" Guts grips his sword and he charges forward swinging, and as Waleed blocks the hit, the rest of the armies begin running into each other. More Hawks appear, and Corcus tells everyone to charge. Casca tells one of the soldiers to go on ahead and take Griffith with them, and then she rides back into battle. Body parts begin to fly as Guts and Waleed ride through the crowd swinging, but all of Guts' attacks are blocked and deflected like they're nothing. He swings one more time at Waleed's head, and then the blade stops. Waleed smiles, catching the sword in his mouth, telling him, "Haha, too bad." While still biting down on the sword, he winds up and he punches the horse that Guts is riding on in the side of its face. It falls to the ground and Guts jumps up and kicks Waleed in the head, knocking him off of his horse. The two men catch themselves as they land, and everyone stops to watch. Waleed stands back up, telling Guts, "This is good. You're something else." Guts just smiles, asking, "The hell do you eat with those kinds of teeth?" He follows up with a flurry of swings, all blocked once again by Waleed. And as the battle continues, Griffith watches, and with his frail body, he reaches for his sword. But with no strength, the sword just falls, and all Griffith can do is stare at it. Back outside, Waleed swings and Guts stops the attack, but the force behind it pushes him away. Elsewhere on the battlefield, Casca leads the forces through killing any raider in their path. One of the raiders calls out to Waleed, telling him that the fight is over. Everyone ran, and Waleed tells him, "What? The festival is just starting." He turns to the tree next to him and he grips into it, tearing it away from the base. He then starts hitting and punching it until it splinters. It falls, crushing the remaining raiders. The Hawks watch as Waleed just killed his own men, and he shouts that he told them over and over, "The fun part starts now!" Waleed walks back over to Guts, telling him, "I don't feel like playing anymore. So from now on, I'm gonna start to have fun." He lifts his arms, and the smoke begins to swirl around him, and everyone watches as an eye peers through the smoke, and Guts looks up. The smoke begins to settle, and Waleed's body is now covered in fur, with 3 extra eyes and a mouth. He stands there as Waleed towers over him. This is still one of my favorite manga, and I hope it is for you guys as well. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at MangaStorian, and I'll see you next time right here.